Hello and welcome to Twerk, a space where you can hear and read about some amazing people, the fantastic jobs they do, and the paths that led them to where they are today. I'm here with Manisha. Hello, Manisha.
Hi.
I love that though, because I've now gone Manisha with raised hands that no one can see. I appreciate that. Okay, so would you like to tell the lovely listener what it is you do for a living?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, I'm Manisha. I run IXL Tutors. We are an online tutoring company. So, we run tutoring sessions from when someone is 7 years old all the way up to 18. So, we cover all subjects up to A level. And we also run some adult sessions as well. So, maths, English, languages for adults as well.
Right. We're going to chat back. We're going to talk about little Manisha. What was little Manisha like? What was she into?
I don't actually think I really knew what I was into and what I kind of really liked until I got to about 17, 18.
Okay.
I knew that I was always really good at maths.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at English.
Yeah. So you're just very academic.
Yeah, I actually think I was really academic. Played the saxophone when I was little.
Wow.
I know.
Do you reckon you could do it now if I went to one out?
Well, the last time I actually picked one up was probably about 2018. I've still got one at home.
I reckon you can do it. You've got it in you.
The most difficult
totally
thing is reading the music and remembering when you're reading the music what note that then corresponds to on your saxophone.
Yeah.
But the only reason I ever picked the saxophone is because everyone around me was picking the flute and the clarinet and wanted to be a bit different.
Of course.
And then I obviously picked one of the difficult, something more difficult.
Or violin. That was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, violin was huge as well.
Do you know what? And piano, I really, really wanted my daughter to play the piano.
Yeah.
She didn't want to. So she
tried.
doesn't. Okay, so very academic at school then, brilliant school reports.
Yeah. Went to a really good school.
Yeah.
But found that I was also very competitive as well.
Okay.
Started playing netball when I was quite young, actually. So probably year 5, year 6.
Yeah.
Started playing hockey as well. Gave up hockey because it was just too cold. And then kind of carried on netball until I got to university. And then that's when everything kind of falls apart, like fitness-wise, doesn't it? And then started playing again a few years ago, and then COVID happened and all that stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So went through school, friendship groups, all good, school good, sport great, and then what do we do at college or sixth form?
And then stayed on at my school for sixth form.
Yeah.
So went to an all-girls grammar school, which has has so much stigma and really strange reputations about it.
Although it was meant to be really good for the girls.
Exactly. So girls perform better.
So what did you do then for A-levels?
So I did English language, economics and business.
Very nice.
And obviously, so economics and business at my school weren't offered at GCSE, so they were completely new to me. And what happened was I went to the open evening and the economics teacher was the business teacher as well. She literally taught everything, in that she was the department.
She was it.
It's quite a small school. There was only about 600 of us in total. So she was the teacher. Sat down at her economics presentation, and I went with my dad, and it was probably the only one my mum didn't come to with us as well.
Right.
And I was like, I really like this, but I walked into that room knowing nothing about economics, and walked out of that room and had made a decision that I was doing that for the next 2 years.
She was that cool.
She was that good, and she was absolutely incredible. She was.
So you almost just went in on a whim.
Absolutely.
Came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was
bloody women, you see.
She was amazing, and she's still teaching as well. She teaches at a different school now, and we message occasionally and keep in touch and stuff. And she's great.
Wow.
And she massively helped me. And then she was the reason that I then went on to do economics at university.
Right. Okay. So it was just economics, or
just economics
with a major in brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Leicester. Incredible 3 years, and that's when I really then started to kind of find myself, find my friends, find my friendship group,
find your people, as the saying goes.
Absolutely, and they are still my people. And then you very much it's the first time that you're living on your own and all of that kind of stuff as well. It very, very much changes you.
Okay, so then leave uni at 21.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plan?
There was no plan. The plan was to make money. So I finished in 21, and we were just coming out of a recession, / still in the financial crash, and jobs in that sector were tough to get. Yeah. So I got a 2-2, and it completely crushed me. because
You're having a good time, weren't you?
exactly.
You skirted around it, but you had a good time,
Yeah,
didn't
absolutely.
you?
I was out all the time, way too much. Yeah, so came out with the tutu and didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
So I think I spent about a month or so. So I spent that summer kind of just trying to evaluate what my plan was. Ended up literally taking the first job that I got offered, which was a cashier position at Santander in Northampton.
Yeah.
So I was getting the train up every day. And
so you were still living in Leicester at this point, or you moved
so I'd
back?
moved back to Milton Keynes.
Okay.
Yeah, parents in Milton Keynes, so I'd then just moved straight back after I graduated. Okay. I ended up doing that for about a year and a half. And then I made a decision that I was going to do my teacher training.
How interesting.
And then I needed to kind of figure out a way to pay for my teacher training.
Yeah.
Because with some subjects, you get paid during it. But I was going to do business with like economics as well, and you don't get paid for it. Oh. So you don't get paid during the whole year that you train. So essentially, I started my teacher training in September 2013, and for that whole first year, I had two choices between two schools. One was in central London, so one was in Maida Vale, and the other one was some little town in Northampton. And if I'd gone for the Northampton one, I would have had to buy a car as well.
Yeah.
So I went for the London school.
Wow.
And for that whole year, I essentially didn't get paid. So all of the money that I then saved up for those 2 years working at Santander had to just go into train fares, which at that time were £400 a month, which is insane when you think about it. So I taught in London for 2 years.
Oh, hang on. So once you'd finished, you mean?
Yeah.
Skip ahead. Don't skip ahead.
So I finished my teacher training.
Yeah. And that was a year?
That's a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the end of that, you then get your PGCE.
Yeah.
And that was probably what I thought at the time was going to be the most difficult year that I would have had in my career. And then you do your NQT year, so when you're a newly qualified teacher. And that's when you are almost at full capacity of what a normal teacher's timetable would be.
Yeah.
So a normal teacher would be teaching 45 out of 50 hours per week. But in your newly qualified year, you then teach 80% of that. So you have a little bit more free time. And I got very lucky. In April, a job came up for a subject specialist in economics in a school in Milton Keynes, which is a 5-minute drive away. And then got hired somehow. They called me the next day and I was like, I literally just laughed. I was like, are you being serious? When HR called me, and she was like, yeah, we're being serious. So in that September, moved to this school in Milton Keynes, and it was incredible. I was there for 6 years.
Wow. So really found your place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I 100% found my place. So I started there in September 2015, and I was subject specialist for economics and for financial studies as well. There was 4 of us in total in the department, so there was a head of department above me, and we all just worked really well together as well, which is great. And the thing that they were really, really good at is training people and spending money on CPD and making sure that staff are really, really well trained.
Yeah.
Internal training, external training. I've never been on so many training courses into London before, and it was just absolutely amazing.
So you're teaching A-level at this point, yeah, just to be clear for anyone I have previously taught business as well. So I taught GCSE business, A-level economics is my main subject, A-level business, and there's a diploma in financial studies, which is essentially the equivalent of an A-level. So we're now 2021 then?
Yeah.
So 2021.
So
you've been there for 6 years.
Yeah. So I'd been there for 6 years. I'd then, after 3 years, I then became team leader for business and economics. So I was then head of department. Really stressful. Really, really stressful.
What, managing people?
Yeah. So Christmas 2019, I was at a Christmas party with some family friends, and I had a really casual conversation with one of the parents, and she said, oh, my son's doing economics A-level, can you tutor him? I was like, yeah, that's fine. And that's literally how my entire business started, just from that really one casual conversation. And then she then started to pass my details on to friends of hers and neighbours that were also looking for business or economics tutoring. And I did it all face-to-face around Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like,
well, you're still working at this point.
I was still full-time head of
Bloody
department,
hell.
and then I started tutoring. So I probably had about 6 face-to-face students that I was tutoring, across Milton Keynes, and there was one in like Woburn, which is still only about 20 minutes away. And it was lovely. It was really nice. And then this would have then been March 2020.
Ooh.
It was the night that it was announced that schools were closing. I was in a tutoring session, obviously hands in my phone, said to a student and the mum at the end of the session, "I'll see you next week."
Yeah.
And the mum was like, "Have you seen the news? Exams are cancelled." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And then we literally had the conversation in their kitchen about how exams are cancelled and everything's going to teacher assessed grades. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, what's happening? What do we do? Because we had just heard this shock announcement that schools were then closing, like, I think it was on the Friday. So overnight, I lost all of my face-to-face students because they were all prepping for exams that had then been cancelled that summer. Which, to be fair, ended up being fine because I still had the stability of being a full-time head of department as well. And during that time, it was crazy working in a school. So we didn't run any online lessons until about the May time. And then very, very randomly, because I think parents started to realise that we were in this for the long haul, I started to get some inquiries through Facebook. I had a really basic tutoring Facebook group page set up at that point, and I started to get a few random messages from parents about, "Oh, do I offer this subject? Do I offer this subject?" And the first one that came up was GCSE maths. And I was like, I'm quite good at maths. I could probably offer GCSE maths. So I said yes, obviously, as you do. As you do.
Brilliant.
And ended up tutoring the son and the daughter.
So you literally just basically had to buy the curriculum and know what they had to teach.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many resources online. And I think when you're teaching GCSE maths, what you just want to be able to do is explain the content and then do loads of practice with them and different types of practice. And there's so many places online where you can get practice questions. And I think that's part of why I now only hire teachers, because I know that they know where to get resources from, and that they know and that
the right resources, the best resources.
Yeah, the really, really good resources.
Okay, so this is now sort of summerish 2020.
Yeah, it's about June 2020.
You're now tutoring maths.
And then I get, so GCSE maths, I'm tutoring bits of A-level economics, GCSE economics, and A-level business.
Yeah.
And then word started to spread around Milton Keynes that I was running online lessons, and I had a few people that I'd previously worked with or knew from kind of networking events and things message me and say, "Oh, I've got this student that needs help with this. Can you help them?" I was like, "Yeah, that's absolutely fine." And then,
but this is just you at this
point. And this is just me at this point.
Yeah.
So there was times when Monday I was tutoring from 4 till 8 p.m. back to back. No break in between. So I'd be there with like...
So you're doing your day job?
Yeah. Doing my day job and then tutoring 4 hours.
And it's basically eating crisps.
Yeah. Smoothie on the side. Crisps. I'll be there with a smoothie on the side, a smoothie, a coffee and a litre bottle of water.
Tell me biscuits
so I can get through. I think I probably would have at some point. I've got to have some sugar at some point.
Yeah.
So I think in my first year when it was just me, I ended up tutoring about 14 hours per week as well as being full-time. And then it got too much.
Yeah.
Because it was crazy. It wasn't... Once we'd then started to go back into school.
Well, we went in and then went out again,
yeah,
didn't we?
we did.
Okay, so now you've been doing that tutoring all the way through and your day job until like summer.
Until...
22.
It got to...
21.
It got to February 21. And I went and spoke to the head teacher and said, "I can't... This is what I do." He didn't know at that point. I was like, "This is what I've been doing." He was like, "Okay." And I was like, "I want to go down to 3 days and I want to drop head of department." And he said, "Okay." It was a really emotional conversation for me because I'd been there for so long and I loved the school.
I love the job, but you knew this was your opportunity.
But I knew that this was
And
my
how
chance.
lovely, because he didn't want to, I don't know if it's he, but he didn't want to lose you.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So they then had to hire a new head of department to then start. So I said that I can do it until... Did I do it until the Easter?
Yeah.
And then a new head of department would then start at Easter. And obviously I was still around, so I could then still do transition stuff and like talk him through the job. And I think we're really lucky in the subject that we're in, because we have so many A-level and GCSE students. It gets a little bit quieter for us post exams in June and July. Right. So we had time to plan things as well.
Yeah.
So he then started, and I then ended up saying to my head teacher the following Easter that I wanted to leave.
Hang on, whoa. So we're now, we can't skip ahead. So that was Easter 21, and we're now
a year ahead.
So you did 3 days and tutoring in Easter 22.
I quit. So I left, and oh my gosh, it was bizarre.
And what was the plan? You had a plan before you quit, did you, or not?
So
at the moment, you're quite gung-ho about it, aren't you?
In the kind of year where I was then three days, I had then got to a point where I had started hiring tutors.
Oh.
So years ago, and I can't even remember when it was probably around 2014, I'd set up a Facebook group called Business and Economics Teachers, and there's now thousands of teachers in there across the country and and from other countries as well. And I had posted a few times in there that this is what I do as well. And I then started to get inquiries from business and economics teachers asking if I was looking to hire. I was like, oh, okay, hadn't even thought about that. So I then hired about 3 teachers. So one's still with us. So Tom's still with us now. And then I've got another 2 that kind of came and left at different points, which kind of happens.
Yeah, of course.
So I was then leaving teaching, and I already then had 4 people that were then working for me.
What, on a kind of freelance?
So they're all employees, and
they're all like
0 hours
the year
contractors.
before.
Yeah, they're all. So we've always taken everyone on 0 hours contracts.
But do they have a full-time job? So they are you, like
they are all teachers,
starting.
either full-time, part-time, or whatever that looks like to them.
Wow.
Maternity leave, wanting to take a year out, something along those lines, and that's pretty much still the model that we kind of then go with now.
You keep saying we. Who's we?
Oh, sorry, I don't. This is the interesting thing. It's not even a we. It's a me.
I know. I'm thinking, who's the we?
There is no we.
You're being all womanly about it. Stop it. It's you. It's the
I don't know why I say
it's the royal we. Well, I guess you feel part of a team, though, don't you?
Yes, I definitely do. I feel
which is lovely. Yes. So I do get it, but equally, you've got to big yourself up. Okay, so how has that evolved then? Because at the moment, I don't want to say physically and logistically how has that evolved, because you were just talking about a Facebook group. It's quite clearly a lot more than a Facebook group now.
So absolutely, it's very much a space now where teachers go to ask for advice, for resources, for job opportunities, that kind of thing. So it's pretty much a space for business and economics teachers to ask questions and to get advice and that
and people obviously can use it to find a tutor.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I guess for teachers, they use it for resources and also to find work, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have to come and be vetted by you.
Yes.
So it's not just like an ad board, is it, where someone can advertise themselves?
No,
you actually have vetted tutors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I knew that the first thing I needed to do was get an accountant.
Yes.
And I was lucky enough that my dad had an accountant that he'd been using for years, and I just went with him.
Yeah.
So I just went with him as my accountant, and I kind of talked him through what the business was, and he was like, right, okay, that's fine. And he was like, okay, so talk me through how you've employed people. I was like, I don't really know. He was like, okay, cool, so we need to get you in touch with a HR consultant. So he works with a HR consultant, so he put me in touch with her, and we got the kind of logistics sorted, and that's when I got to a point where I was then like, right, okay, this is what I have. We've got contracts.
You almost had
in
a
place.
business model.
Exactly.
Then. Yeah.
So we then got contracts in place, and we got all the documentation sorted, and it then became an actual thing that was easy. Someone then contacted me, registered on our website, and
so obviously you did all that, and it simultaneously then built a website.
Absolutely.
Did you do that again? You got
my dad did actually. I know. I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
Is your dad a website?
Well, not officially.
Oh.
He's always worked in IT, so he's been an IT director. He's been in IT for years, and he's built a few websites. And mine was very much just, let's see what we can do here.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of building a second website at the minute, because obviously that was made back in between 2020 and 2021 when it was a very, very new business, and it's quite different to what we now have in terms of the structure and things like that as well. So we're building a new one, and we just kind of want to see where that goes.
How interesting.
As well. So yeah, I got very lucky. My accountant was like, how you built your website, because you've not billed anyone. I was like, that's because Dad did it. And he was like, of course your dad did it. he was like, yes, I know. He was like, your dad didn't invoice you for it. I was like, no. He was like, I didn't think he would.
Oh, bless your dad. Okay, so I guess how has it, from then going for it properly in the April 21 to now, what have been the biggest changes, shifts, or has it just been a really organic thing?
I don't think it's been organic. I think there's been times when it's been absolutely horrendous. I think and there's been times when it's been amazing. I think the biggest thing for me that I found is that when I left a school and there's 1,500 people around you every day, to then working on your own, I hated the silence. Like, I hated how quiet it was, because you're used to, even if you're just working on your own in a classroom, you're used to hearing like buzz and noise.
Yeah. So when you started, you said you had sort of, it was like 2 or 4.
Yeah.
How many do you have now?
38.
Wow. Have you met all of them? I feel like you need to have a damn Christmas party.
Well, we've tried. Yeah. We've tried so many times
so I guess,
to do
all over the place?
They're all over the country.
Yeah.
So how many of them have I actually physically met?
About, you don't need to, do you?
3.
Yeah.
This is like, it's really, really strange.
You need to do like a kind of COVID Christmas party. You remember when we had those like Zoom things?
Yes.
We all got our jumpers on and we had drinks. You need to do like that kind of thing.
That I could do. That could probably work quite well.
Bit of home drinking. Do it in the day as well. A bit of day drinking.
A bit of day drinking on a Friday.
Everyone's in bed by like 9 o'clock.
That's fine. No one has to go anywhere. Because Milton Keynes is a great location in some respects, but also we've got tutors out in like Bristol Way and Wales and stuff, which isn't particularly easy for them to kind of get to Milton Keynes.
No, absolutely not.
As well.
So I guess, and also the unique thing is that this is all online as well, isn't it? Yeah. So of course, you started off with your face-to-face thing.
Yes.
Do some of your tutors that work for you, because I'm guessing once they're working for you, they then end up probably doing other stuff. Do they do any face-to-face stuff as well?
We have some tutors that go into schools and run face-to-face small group sessions.
Right.
And I run some face-to-face sessions in Milton Keynes as well.
Yeah.
But I only do A-level economics, but then we've got tutors that do other subjects, so mainly your maths, English and sciences, where schools have gaps and they want specific targeted intervention for students. They then come to us. We would then have a face-to-face tutor who is a fully qualified teacher, just come in, run those 2 hours of sessions or however long it's going to be.
Yeah.
So amazing. Yeah, we absolutely have that. So we got to a point, so April 21, I'd left school, and then I probably spent about 6 months or so trying to work out what I think I want the business to look like. We then started to have tutors of lots of different subjects, not because we mainly started off as business and economics. We then started to have different teachers of different subjects applying to register with us.
And how do you vet them?
Loads of ways. So first, like, safeguarding is obviously the biggest one.
Yeah.
So DBS checks. I interview them. I watch part of their first lesson. I talk them. I
and obviously you check, so they send your CV. You obviously have to check that it is actually legit.
CVs, references, all the ID stuff
normal
as well.
teacher stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The DBS check's always an interesting one because sometimes they take 6 weeks to come back, and that's just if there's a backlog with the system. As well. So sometimes people are like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Like, really antsy about it. I can't do anything.
It's not you.
Yeah. So the interview process is quite rigorous. So in terms of the questions that we ask, and we're looking for specific things.
Well, also, I guess if you're interviewing them via Zoom as a result, you can see what they're like at communicating, because obviously the key thing is being able to effectively.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying Zoom. I don't know what you do. Is it Zoom or what do you?
So we have our own platform actually. We didn't build it. A company has branded it for us.
Okay.
So there's an American company that essentially made a platform because they are a language school, and now they basically sell it to other companies and brand it for them.
Perfect.
And it's perfect because I don't have to spend thousands building my own platform.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's kind of like Zoom, but it's built for a specific purpose of running online lessons.
Yeah.
So it has the ability for a student to download a page as a PDF.
Yeah.
So if you've done a piece of work, if you've written an essay and you then want to keep it, you can just download it as a page and keep that PDF.
Yeah,
which
brilliant.
for a student would be really helpful.
As
well. But you can record the lessons, you can upload documents and write on top of them, that kind of thing as well. So it's really helpful like that. And the good thing about interviewing our potential tutors online as well is you get to see what they're like with technology, how comfortable are you with technology, all of those kind of things, because some people aren't.
Well, no.
And that then comes across really quickly.
Yeah.
And then that also then doesn't.
So you've interviewed people and then you've not been able to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that it's exactly the same in any kind of workplace or job. There's always going to be people that you interview and you're like, you don't quite fit, or we don't quite fit with you. If I have someone that it's really difficult to find a time to interview them after school, that's probably then going to mean that after school they don't have much time to tutor either. So then that's not necessarily going to fit with us as well.
They like the theory of earning some extra money, but they can't actually do it.
Absolutely. Or if you're very specific in terms of I can only do Monday 7 till 8 p.m. and then that's not necessarily going to work for a parent, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess it's been a sort of an organic in the sense that as people requested subjects, you've added them. Yeah. But then equally, you've kind of got your HR person, you've got your accountant person, your dad. You love the dad, and you've done it well and you've done it right. So how has you said obviously you also now tutor adults in terms of, so talk me through that. How has that come about?
So that came about because of a conversation with my mentor. And it kind of just came about because we were talking about how many parents really struggle when they're trying to explain homework to anything
to their children,
like a piece of GCSE homework to like in maths to a parent that hated maths when they were young.
And
that's how it came about.
Okay, so you're just helping parents help their kids.
Yeah. And just be confident if they then come home with a piece of homework and then they say, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
So you can then have a look at that and be like, yeah, we can. This is how you could do it. And then also as a parent, I think it's really important to be aware that there are multiple ways to work things out.
Yeah.
Because even though we got taught one way, there are different ways that are now taught. That doesn't make our way wrong. It just means they might have been
still
taught
different ways.
Yeah.
And it would still be right.
Yeah.
In all the ways.
Absolutely. There's multiple ways in a maths question for you to get the same answer, but the way that they're taught now might be different to how we were taught it.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine.
It's although it is confusing for kids though, aren't you? Because if I'm trying to teach them a way to work it out and they've learned another way.
Absolutely.
And they're struggling already working that out, which is why we're helping them. You do kind of need to teach them the way they've been taught, otherwise it's ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when was that then? When did that gem drop?
So this would have started around September 22.
Okay.
And they're still one-to-one sessions because that works for the parents.
Yeah.
As well, instead of having kind of group sessions. But yeah, we have parents who have maths, English, and then we have languages as well. So we do French, German, and Spanish.
Wow. Oh, right, I haven't even asked that then. This is where my brain, why I do this podcast, because my brain so isn't equipped for it. So I have so many questions. So talk me through all of the subjects you cover then.
Oh my gosh, okay, so I'm going to... So economics and business.
Yeah.
Maths, English, science.
Yeah. All sciences.
All sciences.
And combined, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
kind of the same.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then we do, I'm trying to like go through the different departments now in my head. Psychology and sociology, geography and history. What have I missed?
Languages?
Yeah. Languages, French.
The languages were last, were they?
Languages for kind of GCSE and A level have always been there. Have been there probably since about 21.
Okay.
But languages for adults is probably a later addition because I hadn't really thought about it.
Oh, God,
I
so
hadn't really
you
thought
could
about...
teach me like Spanish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not me personally, but yeah, we.
So, yeah, we.
Yeah.
Actual we. No.
Actual we.
Or her, or him, yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Computer science.
That's for everything then?
Yeah.
Everything?
The PE BTEC as well, because there's a lot of theory around that as well. We don't really do anything DT or product design wise because there's too much practical stuff, so that's fine. We do like your general maths, English, science at primary,
so and then we do stage 1, key stage 2,
and then we do specific sessions for year 6 SAT preparation, and we do 11 plus as well, and the 13 plus for private schools. So the 11 plus for grammars, and then the 13 plus for private schools.
So the we
is me.
Is it still just you with your HRE consultant and your accountant?
Kind of. So Tom, who started with us right at the start, he does a lot for us. So he manages all of the business and economics tutors. So he's taken on a slightly different role.
He's almost like a team, like you, like a team leader.
Yeah. So he manages all of that for me. He does Instagram lives with me. We meet every fortnight and do like marketing stuff together. So there's loads of different things that Tom then does.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like shouldering the burden, yeah,
it's just you.
Yeah, somehow.
And do you? I mean, what? So what? One of the questions I ask is kind of what's next. With you, it's almost kind of like what. Oh, it's the cliche question, isn't it? But you'll know, like, what is the plan? What's your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan?
So the 3-year plan is to get the business to a point where it's financially sustainable, because I'm still working in a school 2 days.
Right.
Where it's financially sustainable and it completely runs itself.
Yeah.
So it's just really easy to manage. There is someone there who does a lot of the admin in terms of talking to parents, booking in sessions.
Yes.
And essentially it just grows, but also then potentially grows across the UK and then to other countries as well.
Well, okay, so that's cool then. So you've got some big ambitions then. Big plans.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, for it to just kind of get to a point where it's like, yeah, this is going to just keep growing.
So what marketing do you do though?
Oh, I've got at the minute very, very little. Social media, email marketing, and building relationships with schools is so important for what I do. And I think I got quite lucky because I've worked in education in Milton Keynes for so long that people know what I do. So I've got people that then send students to me directly from schools because they know that our tutors are vetted, and they know that our tutors are good, and they know me as well. So they know that I'm only going to take on a certain quality of person as well. So I think building those relationships with schools is really, really important as well.
Because that's also really where surely if you could invest in school marketing, for want of a better phrase, that would really take off things. It ought to take one parent at a school, and then she'll tell another person, then she'll tell, saying she, because it probably is mostly the mum.
It's interesting you say that. There's quite an even split at the minute between whether I deal with the mum or the dad.
Oh, that gives me a warm glow.
And when I first started,
how interesting,
it was more mums that I spoke to, and now it's more even.
Brilliant.
And I think that shift has only happened in about the last 2 years.
Wow.
Which is really nice to see.
Yeah, that is really well, just nice dads taking that real hands-on and responsibility and accountability for their kids' education.
Or I speak to both of them and we have like a joint WhatsApp group or a joint email group.
Oh God, how many WhatsApp groups do you have?
Yeah. So I've got 2 phones.
She's got a burner phone.
I can put the work phone away in an evening at like 7.
Or like
and
you're
not
looking
have
at
to
the
deal
toilet,
with it.
just going,
Like...
no, I'm not going to drop it. No, I am. No, I'm not. No. No, I'm not. Wow, amazing. So are you proud of yourself?
Sometimes. Genuinely though, like, it's tough, isn't it?
I know.
It's really tough. Even just to, like,
pat yourself on the back.
yeah. And I think
silly.
the whole journey has been massively ups and massive downs.
Yeah,
and I think when
ever
you go
easy.
through that, it's really difficult to look back on it and be like, yeah, I'm really proud of this.
Well, like you say, and all it takes is, because you're still going to always have, especially when you're dealing with people and you're even though I know you're not managing them, you're still managing them in the sense you've got to interview them, employ them,
Absolutely.
You're going to get bad eggs.
Like, quality assure them.
Yeah, you're going to get bad eggs.
Absolutely.
And bad things happen, and then I can imagine you'll take that really personally. Just a lovely woman, so you'll just be then, and it can just knock your confidence again.
Absolutely. One of the cool things about our platform is that students can rate the tutor at the end of every lesson. So I can then go in. I can then go in and be like, oh, okay, cool. Everyone's got 5 stars, or the student put this, and they got 5 stars, but they would want more of this next time. And I can then pass that information onto the tutor as well. I'll be like, they gave you 5 stars, but they also want to do more exam practice as well next lesson.
Yeah, and you've got to pass it on.
Yeah, absolutely. I also pass on the really good stuff as well.
I know.
Like, oh, they said this to you. They said this about you, by the way.
Okay. Right. 3 final questions then.
Oh, gosh.
So, first is, what advice would your younger self... No, what am I even talking about? What advice would you give your younger self? So, little Manisha, what do you think she needed to hear?
I think she needed to hear that she can do what she wants.
Okay.
So to not listen to all of the noise and do what you want and feels right for you.
Yeah.
And go with your gut, because my gut has always been right.
I was going to say.
And it always is, isn't it?
Okay, well then it might be a recurring theme then. So then the second question is always, what advice that your older self would give you now? So 65-year-old Manisha, what is she going to say to you now?
Do more of what makes you happy.
Okay. Not necessarily work?
Oh, yeah, everything. Everything.
I feel like that feels like it's slightly loaded. So
no, I don't think it is, actually.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it is.
So do you think you're doing what makes you happy?
Yeah, I think I'm trying. I've got so much better a balance. So much better a balance now than I probably have in like the last kind of 3 years or so.
Yeah.
So just keep doing more of that and keep trying to retain that balance in life. Keep traveling, keep doing stuff with friends, keep spending time with family. Don't work at the weekends if you can. That kind of thing.
Brilliant. She's very wise. Okay, then the final question is always just life advice or a mantra, and it might be the trust your gut one that you want to throw out into the world, that, you know, it's just things you live and die by.
It's got to be trust your gut.
I know.
It has to be.
It comes up quite a lot.
I can
from
imagine
women.
it does.
Yeah.
There's something weird about you always get a feeling about something, or even if something's not right, if something's gonna. So I massively believe in the burnt toast theory.
Ooh.
That in the time, if you burn a piece of toast in the morning, in the time that it takes for you to remake the toast, you've then either missed something bad that could have happened to you, or it's put you in a place that you should be in because you've got to that place later. So, for example, you could have missed a car crash, or it could have meant that you then bumped into an old
just
friend.
Like people that haven't got on planes and stuff, or
exactly
when they've crashed.
Or you could have ended up bumping into someone that you wouldn't have if you were there 5 minutes before.
Ooh.
So I always pay very close attention to the weird things that have happened. And something happened to me really recently. I ended up leaving something at home. I was driving to Birmingham to see some friends, left something at home, had to drive 10 minutes back. In that 10 minutes, there was a car crash that then happened, and I got diverted. And then I realised afterwards, I was like, if I was there, then I would have been part of that. It's really strange.
Thank you very much, Manisha.
That's okay.
If you would like to hear more about this chat, see some pics and read about how to get started in this industry and/or this role, then please go to our website www.twerk.org. The link is in this podcast page and across our socials. Sincere thanks.